Hey guys, it's Laptop Laura, and this is Copy That Pops. Writing tips and psychology hacks applied to online biz success.
Here we go.
Welcome, my copy poppers. So I'm recording this intro right before I jump on a panel call. So it is called the Bestselling Author Panel, Write a Book Before Quarantine is Over. This was organized by my partner in crime, Allison Melody, who's helping me run a program right now to write your book, get it launched on Amazon and hit bestseller in just 14 weeks. And we've got, how many people have gone so far? I think about 7. Another one is live today as I record this on Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. Chris McPeak is number 1 in 7 different categories. And the purpose of this panel is to interview 3 folks who have already launched their books over the past couple of weeks. So Kelsey Henry, who you've heard on this podcast before, she actually launched her 3rd book with us during this group, Amy Carlson and Tamar Medford. So the 3 of them are the featured experts on this author panel. And it's going to be hosted by Million Pound Mission's Adam Schaeuble, who's also the host of the Podcasting Business School podcast, and also featured in Allison Melody's incredible and international bestselling book, Food Heals, that I helped with at the end of 2019. So we've got just a bevy of amazing people. But Allison is actually on an influencers retreat in Jamaica. She got all expenses paid to go to Jamaica for about 4 days. So had Adam jump in to host this panel in her place. And I mentioned that about Allie just to say that when you build your brand and you're the host of a podcast and you're the author of books and you grow your social media presence, incredible opportunities like that start to come your way. All right. So I have to run and jump on this panel. And heads up, if you want to be one of these success stories like you're going to hear from, then listen closely because we're going to talk about our next group that Allie and I are running starting on August 24th. So August 24th, we start, that's a Monday, our next mastermind program. So Bestselling Book Writing Mastermind program. And it's only going to be 10 weeks this time because we really want to push people to get action taking really fast right away. I personally found that I've done groups in the past that was just 30 days and that was pretty darn fast. And some people struggle to do it in that time frame. And then 14 weeks, I felt like was a little long. There were some people in the group, I won't name names, who I think took a few weeks to stumble and bumble and let the imposter syndrome monster slow them down because they kind of knew in the back of their mind they had a bit of time left. So I thought, okay, 10 weeks, let's go for 10 weeks. I think that might be the perfect time frame to really have a fire under your butt, but still enough time to follow the steps that I lay out in the accelerator. And we've got a supportive group. It's just a really incredible program and people are loving it. So we're doing it again. And if you want to learn more or grab your spot, you can go to copythatpops.com/10 weeks. So the number 10, and then weeks. And that will give you more information and you can read testimonials and success stories and see that it's not just hype, that we know what we're doing and we'd love to have you a part of it too. If you feel like, you know what, a book has been on my mind, on my heart for a long time and it's time to do it. P.S. to sweeten the pot, if you type in CTP, that will give you $50 off, whether you pay in full or do the payment plan. So type in CTP as a coupon code when you check out and save $50 for listeners only. Okay, so I got to go jump onto the panel, but I will see you on the other side.
Hello, everybody. My name is Adam Schaeuble, aka the PhD, and I get to be the lucky guy that gets to host this best-selling author panel discussion from some amazing ladies that have started a journey with the idea of becoming a best-selling author. They have achieved that goal. I'm going to hit them with the hard-hitting questions to find out exactly how this happened, what the journey was like, what they're experiencing from this, and everything in between. So I'm very excited about this. We've got brand new minted best-selling authors, Tamar Medford, Kelsey Henry, Amy Carlson, and one of their amazing coaches, Laura Peterson. So we'll be tagging everybody in one at a time. And I thought I would kick off the discussion. I want to know, like, what held you back from writing this book in the first place? Like what was, making you spin your tires about getting this book out there that you were able to do in just a matter of weeks? So I'm going to pick on my friend Tamar first. So Tamar, let's start off with you. Like what held you back from launching the book process in the past?
So I think just those limiting beliefs that who am I to be a writer? I mean, I almost failed English 12. And so I never thought, well, it could be just because I didn't apply myself. And so I just believed that it wasn't possible. And honestly, I didn't think my story was significant enough until I started working with Laura and Allison. And I'm like, okay, I do have a story to share, and maybe some more people can relate to what I'm going through than to somebody in my situation as an addict that's homeless. And so I just thought, you know what, I can make this happen. I've got good guidance. I have a structure. There's a plan. And I just made it happen. So.
Well, I feel like that's part of leveling up your belief in yourself is once you feel like you're supported with the right people, the right team, the right process, and the right tools, then all those limiting beliefs and excuses go away. You're like, you know what? My story does mean something. And honestly, just like in podcasting, if you can impact one person, especially in your category, if somebody's really in a hard place with alcoholism and addiction, and you help that one person, I mean, how many millions of people live their entire life without making that sort of an impact? And you're doing that. So that's a big darn deal, my friend. So well done. All right. We're off and running, ladies. Let's tag in Amy. I want to hear your answer to this question. What has held you back in the past from putting this book out?
For me, if anybody gets to know me and spend any time with me, I would be the poster child of adult ADD. My brain is everywhere and you don't want to be inside of it. And so the thought of trying to get my thoughts gathered first and then put them into some sort of cohesive order that's going to actually help someone and impact the world seemed very insurmountable to me. And so taking a course to learn how to do that and walk through that process is exactly what I needed to do because I had it all here. We just needed to organize it. And honestly, that's the key thing because I'm everywhere.
Yeah, I feel your pain. I'm a content production machine, and Allison is like one of my best buddies, and she's like, "You got to get your book. You got to get your book." And I'm like, "I know," but it's just that initiation. And if you stick me inside of a process and I put my blinders on, it's done. Like I can create an online course in 5 days and the funnel and all this stuff, but the book writing is there's just enough of that vague like mist that I have to wade through. And I'm like, I'm not familiar with this territory. So gaining clarity in that, I can totally see how that's going to be a huge boost for you. So well done, Amy. Well done. All right, let's hear from Kelsey and see how she answers the first question of the evening. What held you back from getting this book out there, Kelsey?
Oh, well, I've gone through Laura's program twice. So I'll talk about from my first book. I really wanted to write a memoir about my childhood of growing up on the road in an RV. And I always thought like, wow, my experience is not unique enough to write this story. And then I'd meet all of these road schooled kids because it's a thing now. And their parents would say like, do you have a book? Do you have like a manual? Do you have like a guide of like how to raise my children to be successful, like homeschooled adult children? And I was like, well, I mean, I consider myself a homeschooled adult child. So I guess I could write a book about what I went through and hopefully that'll be something for them. So I went through a lot of like, who am I to write this book? And then I kind of came up with, I am the person who is older than all of these kids right now, and I can help them feel confident in themselves. And when it came through my second book, I went through it again, like, who am I to write a self-help book? Like, well, I've been blogging on my website and podcasting for like 3 years. So I guess I've done some stuff that I could write about. So I think it was just kind of getting into that. And then of course, like Laura's program and having the outline, I mean, you just start writing and then you have this plan, like you said, and then you can just keep going from there. And every day you know what to do because there's a step-by-step guide. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get it done.
Well, that's huge because a lot of times decision fatigue is the thing that holds us back. Mm-hmm. Like we're ready to work I'm a hard worker. I pin my ears back and I get after it. But if I don't know what I'm doing and where to aim all that energy, then that's when I spin my wheels. So that helps a ton. Are you currently in an RV right now?
I am actually. I am currently living in a truck camper, and
Nice.
It's currently being renovated, and I'm pretty excited about it.
I need to introduce you to my buddy Rob Roy, who has the Adventure Bound podcast. He would love to interview you 100%. So I'm going to make that connection. Shout out to Rob Roy. He's a listener of my podcast. So I'll make that happen. Laura, let's get a coaching perspective on this. Like, what are some of the typical sticking points that you see that we haven't already mentioned? Or if you want to follow up on something that has been mentioned, like why are people not getting their book out there? What is holding them back from getting that process initiated?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. I think one of the first things that pops into my mind when you ask that is there's a magic around books, which I think is amazing if we take advantage of it, because it's a very well-respected sort of institutional thing. In the past, it used to be almost impossible to publish a book because you had to be selected by, 5 elite publishing companies out of New York. So you had to have crazy connections or money to buy your way in, or, apply and send in 1,000 book proposals and just cross your fingers for 30 years and hope you got selected. And that's no longer the case. So now anyone can self-publish a book. And you can make it a great book. Just because you can do it on your own doesn't mean it's not high quality. But I think that magic around books, which is so powerful for us to leverage, especially as people who are running a business or trying to grow a brand, can also work against us if we let it get into our heads and psych ourselves out. Whereas I don't think most people would question themselves so much to start a blog or start an Instagram feed or a new TikTok channel, or maybe even a podcast, maybe a podcast a little bit more so than the other ones. But a book, for some reason, just gets people so hung up, like, who am I to write a book, because of its past historical oomph. So I would say recognizing that a book is just another medium to communicate your story, and quite a powerful one. Let's take advantage of that and not let it overwhelm us in a negative way is a great place to focus on and start.
Yeah, a lot of people get into that, like, I'm not an expert mindset, but kind of like what Kelsey was saying, you've got more experience in certain areas of life than other people. Like when I was first starting my business out, I would have loved to have heard an audiobook or had a book resource from me in my life position right now. And that's just further along down the line. Let's shorten the learning curve for somebody out there. If you do an obstacle course race, you got to be that guy or gal that reaches over the wall and pulls somebody else up over. Like that's the mindset of any content creation, really. And we don't have to be the ultimate at what we do. We just have to be more experienced than a lot of people out there. And we can, monetize that message, put it out there and get things like books going. All right, ladies, let's do another round of questions here. I want to know, as you went through this process, like, I want the inside scoop. Like, I want the stuff that Laura and Allie might be mad that you're letting this out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, don't talk about that. That's super secret. So what strategy totally blew your mind that you learned from going through this process? What was like, I never even thought of doing that? Let's start with Amy first. What strategy just rocked your world as far as something that you learned? And it could be in the writing process or the promotion process.
Well, I need to disclose that when I came, Laura, into her program with her and Allie, I'd already written my book. So I had taken another course on the whole writing process. I was looking now for a way to self-publish and a way to get the book out there without continuing to pay thousands and thousands of dollars, to get the message out there. Because my book is branding myself. It's branding the podcast, it's branding what I do, what I have to offer. And I think probably the biggest thing for me, because it was all about the marketing, it was all about getting the message out there and how I was going to do that. The strategy that Laura set up for categorizing your book the idea that, have your spouse buy your book. Now you're out there. Then you can go back and add a whole bunch of categories in. And there's a strategy and looking at what categories you want to go into. That was so huge for me to make sure that I'm in relevant categories, but yet I'm in categories that I felt like I could reach bestseller status with and stretch myself. Who wants to just get out there and hit bestseller, bestseller, bestseller? We want to have that stretch. We want to make sure that we're doing something that's really going to pull us and bring us out there into the world and really set us up as an expert and be seen as being valid within our content that we're providing out there. So that was big, big, big for me to be able to get that strategy and really rock that day of Kindle launch.
Nice. Kindle launch. Laura, do you want to add anything to that as far as just what is behind that strategy as far as like picking the right categories? Any bonus tips on that?
No, this is top secret.
Closed file. I won't tell anybody.
No, I'm happy to give away all the secrets. And then if people want to jump in and be a part of the synergistic group to help them if they get stuck, like I feel like part of the value too is just going through it together. Yeah. There's information all over Google. Pretty much everything in the world can be Googled at this point. Where the value really comes in is getting your questions answered, getting that accountability, getting that support, positivity, motivation. So the core key for categories, a couple of things. Number one is most authors inside of KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, where you will publish your Kindle and your print book. They go in and you can only pick 2 categories. And those 2 categories don't match perfectly with what is showing on Amazon. So you're confused as all get out. So you just do the best you can. You pick 2. And then Amazon will start showing, and what Amy was referring to, you have to get 1 purchase of your book for the categories to start ranking. Mm-hmm. So once you get 1 person to buy it, then the categories will start ranking. And it shows usually 2 or maximum 3 on your product page. And those are just based on Amazon's algorithm from what you picked inside of their platform. So most authors, like 95% of people, just stop there and say, oh, fingers crossed, I hope it's good. But what they don't know is you can actually do your own research ahead of time to pick categories, like Amy said, that are relevant, but not so competitive or medium competitive or really stretch ones that you want to go for. And then you can reach out to tech support and you can have them put you in up to 10 Kindle categories and 10 book categories. Once you do the print version, you can, add it. Usually I say, let's launch the Kindle first. So that is a huge secret sauce strategy that most people don't even realize and take the time to put into it. But it's incredibly valuable to have a really fun, successful launch.
Yes. Secret sauce.
Yeah. And can I add too that I didn't even know to launch a Kindle version first, and that's a huge category to really get yourself launched into bestseller. And then you can do a separate campaign. I've been a part of a book before and we just launched the print version and went from there. So that Kindle is key, get it out there in that Kindle version where you can have low ticket item, get a lot of people in there purchasing and really massive traffic on your book right away.
Beautiful. All right, Kelsey, let's hear your input on what blew your mind in this process.
Okay. All right. I got some things on the writing front and one on the best-selling front. So first off, the biggest thing that blew my mind, especially with the second book, was in Laura's course, she talks about repurposing content. And with my first book, I really, really tried to repurpose content, but I didn't keep a diary during my childhood. So it kind of all had to come from memory, except for I used my lyrics because I'm a singer-songwriter. So I used lyrics from all the songs I wrote throughout my life in my memoir. And that added a lot of really fun content. But for the second book, I took it even further and I thought, okay, what can I possibly repurpose? And Laura had this whole list of all the places I never thought to look for things that I'd written before. And I was able to write my book in about 3 weeks. Nice. And that just blew my mind. I'm like, I've already written all this amazing content from my blog and my podcast and all these other places. But I thought, well, it's cheating if I use it again. What if that one person on my email list has ever seen it before? They're going to think I'm such a fraud. I didn't write it from scratch. No, they know, like, and love it. And all the new people are going to know, like, and love it too. And also, to piggyback on that, Laura had all this content about, psychology tips because, she's all about the psychology tips and she knows all the things. And so with that, I was able to write my book in a way that it's like, here is this really awesome quick win. Oh, by the way, here is a freebie you can get from my awesome blog. And I've gotten like a lot of email subscribers from my book already, which is really exciting because for my first book, I was like, I have cool music on my website. Come check it out. And yes, the music is cool, but that's not a very compelling, way to go to my website. But now it's like, hey, did you know you can get like these 6 freebies on my website throughout my book? So that was really awesome. And then also the third thing, I know we're talking about like becoming a bestseller, but all of us were bestsellers in multiple categories, so many categories. So I think that was another thing that blew my mind and probably everyone's mind, that you can get bestseller in so many categories. It's pretty incredible.
How many, Kelsey? Give the people an idea. How did you get?
My first book was 16 number 1 bestseller statuses in the US. And then this one was, I think it was 10 number 1 bestsellers in the US, 17 internationally.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. And I've been following a lot of the posts as you guys promote, honestly, I was feeling the FOMO. I'm like, I've wanted to do this. And then all these bestsellers, I'm like, oh, Tamar hit another bestseller in another country. There she goes again.
But no, I got up super high.
Yeah.
Especially in Canada. Tamar, how high did you get in Canada?
To 52.
52 overall, right?
In all of Kindle Canada.
Canada.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So Tamar, now that we got you rolling here, like what was the thing that blew your mind out of this process?
It all blew my mind. When we started working through it, I think I had a date of August something, Laura. I think I had put initially, and then I'm like, well, I'll move it to the end of the July. And because it's so structured and Laura gives you like templates of this is what you do here and here and here. Every day I had something to go look at and go, okay, I'm on track. And I'm ahead of time. And then I remember we had one of the calls and Laura's like, okay, there's a few of you ladies I know could probably rock it out a little sooner. And Kelsey and I are like, okay, let's do it on the same day. And I bumped it up by 2 weeks. And I just thought, you know what, according to the schedule, I can make this happen. And then, of course, I had the accountability of the group, which was just like having an army behind you of people going, yeah, let's do it. And I made it happen. Like I just put my head down and made it happen. And the bestseller, like the day of, and how it's so, okay, here's what you get up, you check it, you do these screenshots, and you didn't feel like you were doing it alone because the whole group is there, like, what's going on, kind of thing. And just the support blew me away because there's 27 of us and you're online all day. I think Kelsey and I started messaging. It was 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. And we were like going till 8 p.m. Pacific time. And it's like, where are you at now? And just going back and forth and sharing the excitement. I've never had such a high in my life than I did that day, getting to 52 overall. It just like, that blows my mind. It really does.
I remember talking to you just to check in and I'm like, how's it going? And you're like, it is unbelievable. You're like, it's weird. That's what Tamar kept on telling me. It's weird. People are buying this thing. And I'm like, I know, because it's really good. And like what you've done is really, really good. You deserve this. I kept on repeating, like, celebrate this. You are deserving of this. It's weird. So that's, Tamar and I have known each other for quite a while, and it's really exciting to see her just own this position and be like, yeah, I'm a best-selling author multiple times over in more than one country, may I add. And it's just a super, super cool thing. So congrats to all of you that obviously crushed it. And kudos to Laura and Allison for the coaching that put you in that position. Now that we have, got the ball rolling and you guys are post-launch, I want to talk about what kind of momentum you've already experienced from the launch and from becoming a best-selling author. So I want to start getting into, okay, this is out there, a thing happened, we have this status. What are we noticing now? And what's the game plan for leveraging that going forward? So let's kick it off with Kelsey this time. Live from the
All
RV.
Live from the RV. My next step is to get my print book out, which Tamar has been bugging me for a while because I took a little vacay after my book launch. I'm like, see you guys in a month. I'm taking time off to redecorate my truck camper. So I'm working on the print edition right now. And from there, I'm working on my next book. It's going to be a coloring book. So I'm going to leverage this one to do my third coloring book. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to launch it on my birthday. Haven't told anyone yet, August 22nd.
I'm August 26th.
Happy early birthday.
Happy birthday. All
It's
right.
a good month. So that's my plan. And then from there, just trying to go to long-term strategy. My plan to grow my reach is always Pinterest. I love Pinterest. Pinterest is awesome. So that's my plan, is to get it out to the Pinterest sphere and find new people to hopefully love it.
Well,
Kelsey, share also about with your first book, you already leveraged it to get speaking gigs to really relevant niche audiences. You sold books at a table in person, which I know with COVID we can't do right now, but tell about that too. That's really cool.
Yeah, I tried a lot of very, very different things. I tried to get really creative. Like, all right, how can I get my books sold in stores? Oh, well, let's see. That might be a little complicated. So how can I I got my coloring books into a Michael's craft fair. So I was just sitting there like, I'm like, I had the idea to sell my book in Michael's. And then 3 weeks later, I'm sitting there selling it right by the Crayola products. So that was incredible. And then also with my other books for Growing Up Road Schooled, I actually had those in 2 different stores around town. And I've learned that a lot of things are actually really easy. You just go to the store and you give them money and they put your product on the shelf, And some places will just take it. I actually signed up for a booth at 2 different stores so I could have, and then just designed a bunch of product so I could also have my books and my CDs and all of the things within my brand. And I tried those, and I also sold my books at events. And I actually was able to get a gig as a speaker at the Texas Pinners Conference. But I didn't want to just stop there. So I wanted a 10 by 10 booth space on the backside of Michael's, and I created a bunch of physical products. And so you can really expand to pretty much anything from your book.
So, I mean, it's kind of a gatekeeper entry point. It gets you through the door, right, Laura? I mean, this is something I leverage my podcast in this way too, where I'll be able to talk to people and get in and speak at events or get free access to events because I'm a member of the media. Same thing with books, right? It gets you through the door.
Yeah, there are some speaking events where being an author is a prerequisite even to speak. I have a good friend who's also a big podcaster who is in the National Association of Speakers, and he gets paid 5 figures to do speeches. And at one point he was talking with his mentors and other people in there, and he was like, why is this other dude getting paid way more than I am? My reviews are always high, 10 out of 10 from everyone in the audience. I'm doing everything right. Why is this other guy getting paid way more? And they said, well, he's written multiple books. That's the only reason. So there's just magic with the books. There's so much leverage to be had with it.
Well, and one other thing that Kelsey mentioned earlier that really rang a bell with me is lead magnet. This is a lead magnet. In my mind, if I write a book, which I know you guys are going to peer pressure me and I'm going to eventually do this, it's going to be a lead magnet. And I've got to have it dripping with the right sort of grabby content in there. Yes, I do want to get that bonus thing or that extra interview, back end special thing. Can you talk about that just a little bit, Laura? How we can leverage a book as a lead magnet, kind of to enter into the funnel, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple ways you can do it. So the entire book itself could be a lead magnet into your world. So a lot of people do a free plus shipping offer, which is very popular with Russell Brunson, if you're familiar with the founder of ClickFunnels. So you basically get the book for free. You just pay, $7.95 for shipping and handling. So basically it covers your cost. And then once you're in the funnel, now you can market all the other products and services that you have. You could also give away the digital version for free on your website or, an email sort of marketing type of an approach. And then with inside the book, anyone who purchases the book, you can then, I think what Kelsey was referring to, try to get them from the book then into your funnel. So you can say, hey, reader only bonuses. I'll give you access to, these 10 resources that you mentioned throughout the book, and say, if you want to get this resource and the 9 other ones, then go to this URL and opt in for free. And you can get access to this bonus content, which could be, let's say you repurpose some podcast interviews. You could take quotes and paragraphs from it to put into the book, like the most salient, relevant items that are perfect for that chapter. But then as a bonus, people could get access and listen to the entire interview, or even like never released audio footage from the people as one aspect of a bonus content item, plus all of these other things. So the book itself can be a lead magnet, and then you can also try to pluck people from it with reader bonuses as a lead magnet.
Reader bonuses. There's a simple technique too that I actually shared with Tamar. I'm like, you got to try this out and see if it works. I was reading, I've read a few books by the author Mike Michalowicz. He's got Profit First, The Pumpkin Plan, big time entrepreneurial podcaster and author. And I think it was in Profit First. He just put his email on there and he's like, I want your feedback. Let me know what you think about this from, this last concept of this last chapter. So I emailed him. I'm like, hell, let's give this a shot. And he responded back immediately. And he's like, thanks for emailing. I love your commentary. And we had a little conversation. I'm like, hey, you want to come on my podcast? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And he's on my wall right back there. And like, he was episode 68 and, really cool conversation. We got connected and he created a super fan out of this interaction. And guess what? I'm talking about it still. And this is like 2 years later and I'm promoting it on podcasts. I mention it all the time. And he's got this promotional super fan that he's built out of me because he put his email in there and he actually interacted with me. So that's another way you can leverage the book situation. All right, Tamar, tell me what your game plan is for leveraging this moving forward here.
Well, as you shared, I took your advice and I did a whole lessons learned at the end of my chapters and then kind of solutions. And I put my email and then also links in the Kindle version to my course, which is evergreen. And since the book launch, I've been really having this itch to write the second one. And I've had a number of people actually message me and they're like, we want more. We need to know more. And so I've committed to writing my second book by February 11th. So I figure I'm going to give myself some time because I haven't really focused on building, my social media, podcast following, stuff like that. So I actually sat down with Kelsey yesterday and we talked about Pinterest because I took her course. So I'm going to use that to create funnels and do Pinterest to a blog on my page, which also promotes my book. And then that goes into the life coaching and stuff like that. So I'm getting a lot of feedback and people who can relate to my story or people who are inspired to do something with their lives. And so I'm going to try and keep that momentum up to grow my coaching business.
Nice. And, I'm a fan of a good funnel. So I believe that you're going to have a lot of success with that. And I also want to applaud you for giving yourself a little bit of breathing room I feel like as an entrepreneur that, I tend to personally jump from, I just created this thing. Let's create another thing. That was a lot of fun. People heard me. Yay, shiny object. Let's do another one without making any monies. I got to make the monies to pay for the next thing. So I like the fact that you're like, I got to kind of marinate this, plant some more seeds, see what harvests out of this, because you may make a few key tweaks in between from what you learn now on the back edge of this. So you have to kind of let that discovery process happen a little bit. And then you come back 10 times stronger and you've kind of got the machine built ahead of it this time. So very exciting. Good planning there. All right. Let's check in with Amy, see what you've got to say here as far as the game plan moving forward here.
Well, Tamar and I were talking actually earlier this afternoon. So I'm apparently more like you, Adam. I not only wrote the book, but I was producing a summit at the year anniversary of my podcast. And let's see, there was something else going on at the same time. And it's like, just slap me upside the head and remind me not to try to do all of that stuff.
Let's do all of the things.
Producing my course. That's the other thing. I just flew out to Virginia, recorded all of the stuff for the course, and now I'm back here. And it's like, I'm not trying to do all of this at the same time again. It's absolutely insane, but it will be out there. So I took full advantage of the funnel. And instead of, I just got the print copy of the book, and instead of launching it immediately, I'm launching it along with the summit. Why not? We're going to have thousands of people's eyes on the summit. We are launching the print version of the book at that time. The course gets launched at that time. It's in the funnel. It all goes with the summit. So I have the free toxic risk assessment, then it goes to the book, then it goes to the 5-day course. So, I just leveraged the expertise, the value, and that's how we're going forward. And then it's all going to happen with the summit that apparently I decided we needed to create.
Nice. Well, Amy, how great does it feel to kind of create two scenarios? One scenario, it's almost like drawing a circle and you have lots of little tiny arrows going out from it. We're drawing a circle and having one thick line going in one direction. Like, that's what you've created. You've created synergy with your products and your offers and said, yep, we're aligning all of this.
Yep.
And you're going to build momentum. Yep. So it's got to feel great, right?
Oh, feels amazing. You hit it on the head. We got to make money, Okay, let's get this all into that money-making thing. And I always said when I started the podcast a year ago, this week is my year anniversary with the podcast, that I was going to give it a year. And I will analyze it at the end of the year and decide, A, are we going to continue? And, B, where is this going to go for us? Well, here we are, and it's just, I'm a best-selling author. I have a course being produced. I'm producing a summit. I've really set myself up to be the expert in my industry. And it feels amazing, to have this all come together. And honestly, when the summit idea was coming together for that funnel and, producing all of that, at the time that the summit was coming into play, I really still did not have an idea what my sale was going to be with the summit. What's my offer? Where am I taking people? Why am I overall doing this? What is it going to be? And it just all came together with producing the course, and putting together that whole system. So nice. It's taking advantage. And then beyond that, I just had my first speaking engagement today. Nice. This came and reached out to me. I've got another one in September. So, it's wide open. It's really what you make of it.
So as my friend Ron Burgundy says, Amy's kind of a big deal. Like that's in summary, big deal.
Hey, everybody, come see how good I look.
Laura, spot on with her Ron Burgundy. Excellent. That's quite fancy. She's got many leather-bound books, I hear.
And rich mahogany.
So, all right, Laura, keep your mic hot here because
okay.
I've alluded to this before. I've spent a lot of time and effort and money creating a lot of things, and then to kind of quote Napoleon Dynamite, I'm like, I'm making $1 an hour. Like this is not going well.
Raise your hand if you can relate. Probably every entrepreneur.
So how do we stay out of that mode of like, I'm spending it's almost like that ego driven, like I want to feel fancy. I want to feel important. I want to feel like my ego is being fed, but that's all I'm getting out of it. All of a sudden you wake up 4 years later and you're like, I really haven't built anything out of this. So what are some keys to breaking that and seeing success like all these ladies are seeing, like they're actually implementing and moving their brands forward?
I think at the core of it, and this is something that we very much focus on before writing the book, but it's something that everyone should focus on before anything to do with their business, is if you don't have a core goal and mission and vision around who you want to help, I think it's really easy to get distracted, to maybe just get wrapped up in fast cash, like let me just cut corners just to try to get the money, and just kind of also lose your motivation, one of those things or all of those things. So I think with your book, with your brand, with your business, with anything that you undertake, you really need to analyze what is in it for me, my brand, because that's important too. And also what is in it for my audience, for the people I'm trying to serve. And if you can make sure that you're you've really thought that out and you keep it at the forefront of your mind, even if you write it on a big sticky note and just put it right above your computer that you see every single day, I think that will really help to drive your path and make sure that you don't get too distracted or don't get too overwhelmed or don't get discouraged. It just really helps you stay on that good path.
Beautiful advice, Laura. All right, friends, let's do one more round of Q&A here. I want to know if you could talk to yourself when you first launch. Or let's phrase it this way, in a less confusing way, without time warping. What advice would you give yourself for your next book launch? So if you are talking to yourself as you're getting ready to launch the next book, from lessons learned from this one, what advice are you going to sit down and tell yourself? Tamar Medford, let's start with you.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The hot
I think
seat.
just don't have that doubt. You know, like you made it happen before, you're going to make it happen again, because it's always, you know, even through the process coming close to completion, there were still days where I was like, I don't know if this is going to come together. And I'm like, I keep forgetting that I have this support here and I have these people that are behind me, helping me every step of the way. So I'm not going at it alone. And that, I think that's probably the biggest thing, is you're not doing this alone. And if my intention is doing this for other people, which it was 100% this time, and I keep that intention the next time around, everything's just going to work out, right? I'm not being, you know, super self-centered. Like, you know, if you read in my book, I was in the past. It just works out better when you become other people centered and you start doing it for the right reasons.
Amazing. Great answer, Tamar. All right. Amy, she put a big one out there. You gotta match that energy there. So what advice are you going to tell yourself for that next book launch?
I think, first of all, for me, just do the book. Don't try doing it all. You know, it was just the way that things fell into place. I think it's that self-doubt thing. Always keep in mind, you know, I think everybody in our bestseller group, we were doing what we wanted to do to serve others. We were providing something for the community. And when we put that value out there first, that this is going to help people, it's going to make the world a better place, it's going to provide, you know, more resources for the community, whatever that is, that we're going to be of service to them, and always keep that in the forefront. And that will help you walk through that fear. And we all would be liars if we say we didn't have fear. I had fear, you know, talking. It's all fearful. But what are we going to do with that fear? Are we going to walk through it anyway? You know, keeping in mind, who is it that we're trying to create those ripples, you know, to go out there and impact our world and leave it a better place? That's the big thing for me.
Amazing. All right, Kelsey, you got to step up to the plate, girl. What kind of advice are you going to use to motivate yourself for the next launch?
Yeah, guys, that was both beautiful. I would say my biggest thing is always to try to remember to have fun. I'm all about the fun. And if I'm ever feeling like it's not fun, I'm not living by what I'm preaching. So I always got to take a step back and try to add the fun. And then also I would say that during, especially this last book launch, so many things happened that I thought were bad things, but really it was because I was meant to write a chapter on it. And it just made the book so much better because it was just had all of these very specific experiences. And that's how a lot of my songwriting has happened in the past. I'm like, did I go through this horrible breakup just to write this song? So this could be born like, well, I mean, I guess that at least it makes something come out of it, you know? So I try to have that perspective of when things happen, you know, like at least use it for something good. So always for this next book launch, I would say to try to remind myself to keep in mind that things that are happening that might seem good or bad, what are they really? And how can I use them to my advantage to make my book even better?
Hashtag stoicism. Man, that was excellent. Excellent. All right. Laura, I want to bring you in here to wrap us up. I just would like to get a little bit of a rundown of what's happening with the next round. It's coming up. I am personally a huge believer in what you're doing. I love community. I love getting a cohort together, especially when it's something that is perceived to be difficult to do. And we say, hey, we're all in this together. There's accountability, there's implementation, there is support, and there is a process that is proven. And it is all wrapped up in the 10-week best-selling book Mastermind, this is what all these amazing ladies are graduates of, and that's what's produced these results. So could you just give us a little bit of a rundown of how this is going to work and why people need to get involved? It's launching August 24th, by the way, people.
Yeah. When Kelsey was talking about make sure you do things that are fun, to me, the first thing that jumped into mind was doing things as a group. I'm personally someone that feeds off the energy of others. And that's partly why these ladies have agreed to be on this panel right now, and why so many people are, I think, having success in the group is because it's so much more fun. It's so much more motivating. Humans are social creatures, and to do things in isolation, you get way more mental roadblocks. You get overwhelmed, analysis paralysis. All the things start just weighing on you and slowing you down. And I have people who come to me and say, I've been quote unquote working on a book for 5 or 10 years because they never just really committed to it. Yeah. Okay. Adam's pointing to himself. You were in that camp. Yeah. So many people. So I think the power of the group is you're not alone. It's more fun. It's more motivating. Every week we make a post and say, what is your goal for this week? Forget everything else. Just what are you going to do in this week? And people post in there and can check up on each other. And then you feel a little accountability, like, oh, I don't want to let everyone down. I said I was going to find a formatter, so I'm going to find a formatter. So really just leveraging the power of the group and the community. Also, psychologically speaking, as Kelsey also referenced, I used to teach psychology at the high school and community college level. And one of the things that we do in the group is we pick a launch date, we put it on a calendar that we all share with each other, and then I motivate, push, and sometimes force everyone to share that date publicly, because we are more likely to let ourselves down and say, I'll push that a little bit longer, than we are to let other people down publicly. We just want to save face. It's just something that is so psychologically in us. So by being a part of this group, picking a launch date, sharing it publicly like we encourage you to, and knowing that you've got everyone behind you, it just makes you finally make it happen. So if it's something that you've thought about for a long time and you still haven't done it, then maybe this is the path for you. We've also got, you get full access to all the training and step-by-steps and checklists and all the things. So people have gone through the training portion completely DIY with never ever talking to me at all and still had success. But then you also get to ask questions and refinement and have it applied specifically to your case and your scenario, and the power of the hive mind. Everyone gives feedback and encouragement. It's a good environment. Ask me more specific questions. I feel like I'm just gushing over it because it's so fun, but ask me the tactical stuff too.
How do people get involved? Where are we seeing them website wise? That's going to be important, and I'll link it up with the show notes and wherever we post this, there'll be links. But let's verbally just deliver that as well. To
learn more and to sign up and grab your spot, copythatpops.com, and so copy as in writing, that pops as in that stands out.com /10 weeks. So the number 10 and then weeks. That will redirect you to give you all the information and extra details on that. So you get all the trainings, a private group, and support on your lunch day so that you are not alone.
Let's big voice it. Go to www.copythatpops.com /10 weeks. All right, there we go. That way, this time it's for real. All right. So I'm very excited about this because my show is Podcasting Business School, and I feel like this is a tool that we at least need to understand, especially when we are putting our business hats on as entrepreneurial podcasters, and understanding this method at the level that you're teaching it it could be a huge advantage, as you have all seen and heard from the ladies here today, how they are leveraging. And I'll throw in a bonus prediction / benefit of this cohort that you're joining. I can guarantee that friendships are forming, collaborations are forming, Courses are being created, partnerships, business partnerships are being formed. Like, I know this is happening because I've heard that this is already happening, that you're working together. There will be books written together. There will be podcasts done together. There are marketing, schemes being hatched as we speak. So it's not just about the book. You are diving into this process with a group of like-minded people, and that is hugely powerful. So a lot of podcasters that I coach from a business perspective, like, I'm not getting interviewed on other shows. And I'm like, you got to just start hanging out with more entrepreneurs and more podcasters, more authors, more people that are content producers. And this is a great opportunity to do that. It's a great price. Rumor has it, if you use the code Adam, you get $50 off, which is amazing. And so use the code Adam and let's do this thing. So ladies, I appreciate you so much for joining me here today. I can't wait to put this out on Podcasting Business School. And for those of you that are tuning into the episode, make sure that you head on over to the show notes, and you can always go to podcastingbusiness.school. That's the website, .school. Yes, that you heard it right. Podcastingbusiness.school, and get all the info on the show. And again, this show is about becoming an entrepreneurial podcaster. I know a lot of you have a dream of monetizing your message, creating a lucrative side hustle, or even living the pod life like I do and being a full-time content producing podcaster as your career. It's amazing. And each and every episode, we're just trying to get you one step closer. So I appreciate your support. Stay with it. Your dream is worth it. Your message is worth it. And we will see you on the next episode.
Well, I hope you really enjoyed that panel discussion. Big thanks to Adam, Tamar, Kelsey, and Amy for great questions and answers and sharing their experiences and being vulnerable too. That's what it's really all about in life and in business. So if you want to be a featured success story on a future episode of this podcast, then head over to copythatpops.com/10 weeks and remember the code CTP if you'd like to save $50 as a valued listener of this show. All right. I'm going to sneak in a little bit more work before Baby E wakes up from his nap, and we'll talk again soon when we'll find more ways together to write copy that pops. Thanks so much for listening. Let's keep the conversation going. You can find more at copythatpops.com, and I'm at Laptop Laura on all the socials.
Sometimes we find the greatest things in